Hi, Dr. Rod. Here are the questions answered from the article, Sharing the Leadership Space Toward a Contextual Understanding of Shared Leadership Patterns in Organizational Teams by Sweeney, 2024. The article studied the question, how do team members share in the leadership of their team? The first question is, how does the article define and conceptualize shared leadership within organizational teams, drawing upon relevant theoretical frameworks and empirical research in the field? According to EDUC, 2021, quote, shared leadership in particular has been advocated as a way to enable team-based organizations to meet the challenges of increasingly complexity along with high rates of change and uncertainty in the modern landscape, unquote, from Sweeney, 2024, page 1. Many more people are becoming supporters of the shared leadership approach, seen where everyone will need to share the experience of being a leader. Some researchers state that a shared approach to leadership can be seen as concurrent and collective. Shared leadership is seen as being a team, where the roles of leadership are distributed to everyone in the team. Sweeney conducts this research to highlight the patterns of leadership behaviors that come about when multiple people on a team share the space in leadership. Other research has noted that leadership is a collective social process where influence in leadership is shared among all of the team members. There have been benefits that have been reported, including fewer conflicts, greater consensus, enhanced intra-group trust, and higher cohesion among group members. In addition, other studies have found that shared leadership motivates team potency and improves team creativity. In commercial organizations, research has found a positive influence of shared leadership on performance. According to Sweeney, 2024, quote, evidence suggests that shared leadership is facilitated when the three conditions of shared purpose, social support, and voice are present, end quote, page 2. Other researchers have studied trust, team potency, and team collectivism, highlighting that these contribute to the emergence of shared leadership in teams. According to Sweeney, 2024, quote, shared leadership allows multiple sources of expertise to address leadership functions and can motivate team potency, positively influence performance in commercial organizations, and potentially lead to reduced conflict, greater consensus, enhanced trust, higher cohesion, greater occurrence of social integration and problem-solving quality, improved creativity, and effective change management. However, for these benefits to be realized, both internal and external team environment antecedents, mediators, and moderators need to be considered within the team's social context. The importance of the social context on the emergence of shared leadership behaviors is reflected in this study through the theoretical framework selected to underpin the research. End quote, page 3. The second question is, discuss the contextual factors examined in the study that influence the emergence and effectiveness of shared leadership patterns. How do situational factors, team characteristics, and organizational context shape shared leadership dynamics? Sweeney discusses how the nature of shared leadership with each team is important in studying the influence of the emergence of shared leadership over time. Sweeney, 2024, stated that, quote, indicators of exchange relationships include perceptions or organizational and peer support, trust, and effective commitment, end quote, page 3. Perceived support is how one person values the contributions of others and shows concern for them. This is usually seen at a level of employee-organization exchanges. Some studies show that social support is a condition for shared leadership. Trust is a person's ability to accept vulnerability when they cannot control or guarantee the actions of others. Trust is important for how a group achieves a desired outcome as a group and is an essential precondition of shared leadership. Effective commitment is the exchange with a partner that has emotional attachment. That is used to describe the attachment of an individual to their organization or to the team or group. Sweeney, 2024, stated, quote, according to social exchange theory, conditions of perceived support, trust, and effective commitment play a role in shaping the team's social context and influence and an individual's willingness to engage in a social exchange, such as shared leadership. In this study, these indicators provide a framework for analyzing the social context pertaining to each team. End quote, page 4. Situational factors, team characteristics, and organizational context shape shared leadership dynamics. Question 3. Analyze the empirical findings regarding the relationship between contextual factors and shared leadership patterns as discussed in the article. What are the key findings, and how do they contribute to our understanding of the contextual nuances of shared leadership? In all 5 teams, the relationships between team members appear to be positive and are good working relationships. According to Sweeney, 2024, quote, in exploring the nature of relationships within each team, themes that emerge from the analysis include perceptions of organizational and peer support, trust, and commitment. These concepts are commonly regarded as indicators of social exchange relationships. End quote. Page 9. In total, there were 284 shared leadership incidents reported among all 5 teams. supporting that leadership can be shared by multiple team members. Team stability affected the strength of shared leadership within the team. Some teams noted that team members left, changing the dynamic of the team. Sweeney highlights that there needs to be more research in the impact of team stability and shared leadership emergence. According to Sweeney 2024, quote, shared leadership allows a wide range of task, relationship, and change-oriented leadership behaviors to be expressed. This article builds on that work, revealing that while each of the teams studied exhibited a shared approach to leadership, the predominant pattern of leadership which emerged within each team varied in each context. End quote, page 13. 4 out of 5 of the teams engaged in shared leadership for the whole study, which have been influenced by contextual and relational conditions. According to Sweeney 2024, quote, the purpose of this research was to explore the predominant shared leadership patterns, which emerged within 5 teams in varying contexts. While this research has identified 5 distinct patterns or forms of shared leadership that emerged in each context studied, it is important to note that such patterns were dynamic and fluid, varying according to the requirements and complexities of the tasks facing the team. End quote, page 18. Question 4. Critically evaluate the methodological approach employed in the study, including the research design, sample selection, data collection methods, and analytical techniques. What are the strengths and limitations of the study, and how do they impact the validity and generalizability of the findings? Sweeney used a multiple case study approach with qualitative sources of evidence to gain understanding of the patterns that emerge with shared leadership in teams over time. The study was conducted over 21 months in Ireland. From 4 organizations in Ireland, 5 different teams and the managers participated in the study with a total of 34 individuals. From the sample selection of the 5 teams included an all-female team, 2 all-male teams, and 2 teams mixed of female and male participants. 3 of the teams had low cultural diversity, while 1 group had medium cultural diversity, and the other had a high cultural diversity. The team members completed diary entries as well as a 1-to-1 semi-structured interview to gather data on shared leadership in the teams. The researcher gave all of the teams a shared definition of shared leadership to lead their diary entries, defining shared leadership as, quote, a workplace interaction where an individual or individuals without formal authority influence the actions, behavior, or development of you or others in your team, leading to achievement of the goal, end quote, according to Sweeney 2024, page 6. A limitation of this study is how diary entries can be burdensome, and the completion of them were low, with only a 24% completion rate of a total of 20 diary entries. To fill in the gaps from the incomplete diary entries, interviews were conducted for them to recall their experience of recent incidents of shared leadership with a minimum of a 3-month lag time. The line manager of each team was interviewed to provide insight to the contextual conditions of the team. There were a total of 89 interviews. Data analysis was completed by audio recording each interview, transcribing them, and storing them for analysis. They used a thematic approach. They compared the diary entries to the line manager's interview for context to help consolidate the data. They used thematic coding to group and code similar content. This process kept going until there were no new codes. From this process, they found patterns of shared learning behaviors within all of the teams. The last question is, reflect on the practical implications of the study's findings for organizational leaders and team managers. How can insights from this research inform leadership development initiatives, team building strategies, and organizational interventions aimed at fostering shared leadership practices within diverse organizational contexts? According to Sweeney 2024, quote, this research sought to understand how team members share in the leadership of their team. An in-depth empirical exploration of 5 organizational teams revealed the contextual and relational factors that gave rise to different forms of shared leadership. In so doing, this article has made theoretical, practical, and methodological contributions to the study of shared leadership, and several propositions for further research now can be developed, end quote, page 18. A theoretical contribution is the identification of diverse forms of shared leadership that have emerged in different conditions, highlighting that shared leadership has contextual components. In addition, this study has shown how different shared leadership arrangements are experienced by team members. It also highlights how there is a need to explore negative consequences of shared leadership approaches based on differing contexts and allocation of shared work. According to Sweeney 2024, quote, contrary to existing research, this study reports that shared leadership continued to emerge in situations of low task interdependency in Team 5 in a more centralized form. Moreover, examples of relationship-oriented shared leadership behaviors continue to emerge in Team 1, when task interdependency was also low. This suggests that perhaps the task-focused nature of existing studies in the field has neglected to consider an important dimension of leadership behavior, that is, relationship-oriented leadership, which is also amenable to shared leadership. End quote, page 18. From this study, effective commitment was low in all of the teams, highlighting that this condition is not a prerequisite for shared leadership. According to Sweeney 2021, quote, on a practical level, this study underscores the potential for shared leadership to increase the leadership capacity of team-based organizations, while also highlighting the complexities involved in implementing shared leadership within teams. Organizations aim to adopt this leadership approach must consider the unique contextual and relational factors at play, end quote, page 18. According to Sweeney 2024, quote, methodological contributions are derived from the qualitative approach used in the study, which allowed for an in-depth exploration of shared leadership in authentic settings, offering a nuanced and context-specific perspective that enriches our understanding of this leadership approach. By drawing on team members' experience of shared leadership, the study provides valuable insights into how shared leadership is practiced and experienced within teams, providing a fine-grained view of shared leadership at grassroots levels. This approach enriches the existing literature, which to date has been dominated by quantitative approaches. End quote, page 19. Sweeney states that the small number of teams in the study is a limitation. Further research with more teams in a variety of contexts is needed. The team composition changed in 4 out of the 5 teams. Further research is needed on team stability over time. This study is an exploratory study which does not provide conclusive answers for cause and effect of variables. There should be further research on this. Since this was a qualitative study, there was depth, but that does not allow for this study to be generalized in other contexts. Another area of future research can be task interdependency and forms of shared leadership. In addition, the relationship between team size and forms of shared leadership should be studied. The levels of trust in shared leadership should also be explored. Another area of future research is employee professionalism in the absence of empowering leadership to further understand shared leadership antecedents. According to Sweeney 2024, quote, the study's qualitative nature offers a foundation for quantitative research, allowing for testing of the causal mechanisms leading to the emergence of different forms of shared leadership. This would enable the development of more robust theoretical frameworks in the field. These research propositions can serve as a foundation for future studies of shared leadership to expand our understanding of this leadership approach and its implications in a variety of organizational contexts. End quote, page 19. Thank you so much, Dr. Rod, for listening.